the quiet epidemic. You scroll, you tap, you like. Hundreds of followers, dozens of group chats. Yet, at night, there's a silence that no notification can fill. Have you ever felt completely alone while surrounded by people? This isn't just your imagination. It's a global phenomenon. We are more connected than ever before, and somehow lonelier than we've ever been. Вступление. Loneliness. It's a word that makes people flinch. Not because it's unfamiliar, but because it's all too familiar. In 2020, researchers declared loneliness a public health crisis. Not just in the elderly, not just in the isolated, but in everyone, students, professionals, influencers, even people in marriages. This video dives into the psychology of loneliness, why we feel it, where it comes from, what it's doing to our minds, and how to confront it, not by escaping connection, but by redefining it. More connected, more alone. We live in a time where reaching someone across the planet takes less than a second. We can video call, voice message, send emojis, like stories, post updates. But something feels hollow. A text thread doesn't equal friendship. A like isn't love. And being seen doesn't mean being understood. Psychologists call this social snacking, tiny bits of interaction that imitate real social nourishment, but don't satisfy emotional hunger. In the same way that fast food gives you calories but not health, these digital interactions can leave us full, but emotionally starved. What is loneliness really? Contrary to what many think, loneliness isn't about being alone. It's about the gap between the connection you want and the connection you feel. You could be in a marriage and feel lonely. You can be at a party and feel invisible. You could be online 24/7 and still feel like no one truly knows you. Psychologist John Cacioppo, a pioneer in loneliness research, defined it as perceived social isolation. Key word, perceived. That's why two people can experience the same situation. One feels lonely, the other doesn't. Loneliness is subjective and deeply psychological. Childhood roots of loneliness. Our first emotional blueprint is drawn in childhood. If as children we were ignored, misunderstood, or emotionally abandoned, we may grow into adults who assume, I'm not worth connection. People don't really care. Getting close means getting hurt. These beliefs form what psychologists call attachment styles, especially the anxious and avoidant types, both of which can lead to loneliness. Even in adulthood, we carry these invisible blueprints into every interaction, seeking connection while fearing it. Отцикл одиночества. And I like to talk about the loneliness cycle. Here's what a dangerous cycle looks like. You feel lonely. You assume others don't want you. You withdraw or hide your emotions. Others sense your distance. They distance themselves or misunderstand you. You feel even more lonely. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the longer you stay in it, the deeper it cuts a neural pathway, turning loneliness from a state into a personality trait. When alone, the brain literally reprograms itself. It becomes hypervigilant to social threats, prone to mistrust, and sensitive to rejection. You begin to see the world not as it is, but as your isolation paints it. Why does loneliness hurt so much? Because evolution made it that way. Thousands of years ago, to be alone meant one thing: danger. You were more likely to be attacked, starve, or die without a group. Our ancestors survived by sticking together. So, our brains evolved to treat social separation as a threat, just like hunger or pain. That's why loneliness feels so unbearable. It's not just sadness, it's a primal alarm telling your body something's wrong. Reconnect or perish. This also explains why chronic loneliness affects your health. It isn't just emotional, it's biological. The body keeps the score. When you feel lonely, your body enters a state of low-grade stress. Cortisol, the stress hormone, rises. Your immune system weakens. Your sleep becomes shallow. Inflammation increases. Chronic loneliness is linked to cardiovascular disease, weakened immunity, cognitive decline, depression, even premature death. In fact, loneliness has been shown to be as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It's not just in your head. It's in your heart, your cells, your whole system. Social media, the illusion of belonging. Social platforms promised to bring us together. And in many ways, they do. But there's a trap, one that many fall into without even noticing. We substitute online interaction for real connection. We watch people's lives instead of living our own. We compare our backstage to their highlight reels. We post for validation instead of expression. We fear missing out, but we're already missing being. Social media offers the illusion of community while deepening isolation. The likes feel good briefly, but then emptiness returns. Emotional armor and false connections. To protect ourselves from rejection, many of us put on emotional armor. Humor becomes a shield. Success becomes a mask. Busyness becomes an excuse. We fear being real because real means vulnerable, and vulnerable means you could be rejected. So we create false connections. Relationships based on surface-level talk. Friendships built on convenience, not trust. Online identities that don't reflect who we are. But no amount of shallow contact can satisfy the human need for authentic intimacy. The lonely crowd. Ironically, cities with millions of people often create the deepest loneliness. You can pass thousands daily, but no one looks, no one talks, no one knows you. Urban loneliness is psychological, not from lack of people, but lack of meaningful interaction. We've replaced community with convenience, neighborhoods with anonymity, conversations with efficiency. Loneliness isn't just an individual issue, it's systemic. A society that prizes productivity over presence breeds isolation. Types of loneliness. Loneliness wears many faces, and not all of them are obvious. Psychologists have identified 3 major types. 1. Emotional loneliness. You lack a deep emotional bond. A partner, a best friend, someone who gets you. You might be surrounded by people, but still feel no one truly knows you. 2. Social loneliness. You don't feel part of a group or tribe. Maybe you've moved cities, lost a community, or feel culturally out of place. 3. Existential loneliness. This one is deeper. A sense of disconnection from life itself. A feeling that no one can truly understand your inner world. It often appears in moments of transition, loss, or spiritual crisis. All 3 types can coexist, and recognizing them is the first step to healing. The masks we wear. Many lonely people don't look lonely. They're smiling, performing, leading, helping others. But underneath the surface is silence. Why? Because we're taught that vulnerability is weakness. So we wear masks. The achiever. If I'm successful enough, they'll love me. The caretaker. If I give enough, they'll stay. The entertainer. If I make them laugh, they won't leave. These roles are designed for survival. But they prevent real intimacy because they hide our real selves. When loneliness shapes your identity, if loneliness persists, it can start shaping who we think we are. You might start believing, maybe I'm unlovable, maybe I'm too much or not enough, maybe no one can understand me. These aren't just thoughts. They become identities. And when we identify with loneliness, we stop seeking connection because we assume it's impossible. This is why so many people stay stuck. Not because they don't want love, but because they've stopped believing it's possible for them. Loneliness in literature and philosophy. Loneliness has long been a muse for great minds. Franz Kafka wrote, "What do I have in common with others? I don't even have anything in common with myself." Virginia Woolf explored loneliness in characters who lived rich inner lives, yet were emotionally exiled. Albert Camus, The Stranger, paints a man emotionally detached from the world, a metaphor for existential isolation. Philosophers like Soren Kierkegaard and Jean-Paul Sartre argued that to be human is to be fundamentally alone in our inner experience. Yet, paradoxically, this shared aloneness is what unites us, finding meaning in solitude. Loneliness is not always the enemy. Sometimes it's a signal, a spiritual pull inward. Great artists, mystics, and thinkers often walked through long seasons of solitude, not to escape others, but to rediscover themselves. There is a difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is painful. Solitude can be peaceful. Loneliness is imposed. Solitude is chosen. Loneliness starves the soul. Solitude can feed it. In silence, you can hear the truths you were running from. In aloneness, you can remember who you are when no one's watching. The fear of real connection. Many people say they want connection, but when it arrives, they sabotage it. Why? Because true connection requires emotional nakedness. And that's terrifying if you've been hurt, rejected, or abandoned before. We're afraid of being seen and not accepted, depending on someone who might leave, revealing the parts we don't love in ourselves. So we settle for safer alternatives, casual relationships, superficial conversations, emotional independence that's really avoidance. The paradox is, the deeper the desire for intimacy, the stronger the fear of it. Breaking the cycle of loneliness. Loneliness can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You feel lonely, you withdraw, you miss out on connection, you feel lonelier. To break the cycle, you need action before you feel ready. Try this. Initiate small interactions. Say hello to a neighbor. Message an old friend. Compliment a stranger. Practice emotional honesty. Instead of "I'm fine," say, "Actually, I've been feeling a bit off lately." Be consistent. Connection takes time. Don't give up after one awkward coffee or slow reply. Loneliness thrives in silence. Break the silence, gently, bravely, repeatedly, becoming emotionally available. Connection isn't just about being with others. It's about being available to them. That means naming your feelings, asking for what you need, holding space for someone else's emotions, risking rejection in pursuit of authenticity. If you've built walls around your heart, they won't come down all at once. But you can start with a window. Let someone see a glimpse. And when they stay, open the door a little wider. Healing through the body. Loneliness doesn't just live in the mind. It lives in the body, in tightened muscles, shallow breath, restless energy. That's why healing must be somatic, not just cognitive. Practices like yoga, to reconnect with your inner self. Breath work, to regulate your nervous system. Touch, through massage, hugs, or even placing a hand on your heart. Movement, walking, dancing, stretching, to break the stagnation. The body holds the story of your disconnection, but it also holds the keys to your reconnection. How to build true connection. We crave real connection, the kind that nourishes and transforms. Here's how to cultivate it. Be curious. Ask deep questions. Listen, understand, not reply. Be generous. Share your time, presence, and care without expectation. Be consistent. Show up again and again. Be vulnerable. Speak the hard truths. Let them see the mess, not just the masterpiece. True connection isn't found. It's built through courage, patience, and love. Transforming loneliness into power. What if loneliness isn't just a curse, but a call? A summons to rebuild your life from the inside out. Because loneliness strips away illusions. It reveals who you are without applause, without distraction, without validation. And in that space, you find something rare. Clarity, honesty, the beginnings of true self-love. When you stop running from loneliness and start listening to it, it becomes your teacher. The journey back to yourself. So many people seek connection outward, with others, with lovers, with friends. But the most important connection you'll ever rebuild is with yourself. Ask, what makes me feel alive? What truths have I been avoiding? What kind of life would I create if I weren't afraid of being alone? Begin there. When you return to yourself, you stop looking for others to complete you and start looking for those who align with you. Coming home. There's a place inside you that is untouched by the world's noise. A place of peace, even in solitude. Finding that place takes stillness, courage, compassion for the wounded parts of you. But once you find it, you're never truly lonely again. Because you've come home, to your soul, to your truth, to the sacred center that can't be taken away. A shared experience. You are not alone in your loneliness. In fact, right now, millions of others feel exactly what you do. The ache, the yearning, the invisible walls. Let that humble you and comfort you. Because in that shared ache is a quiet revolution. It means you can reach out. You can open up. You can create spaces where others feel seen, too. Connection begins not when someone saves you, but when you say, "Me too." The antidote to loneliness. Loneliness is a shadow that follows us in the digital age, but it's also an invitation to turn inward, to heal, to love more bravely. So if you feel alone, you're not broken. You are human, and humanity, at its core, is not about perfection, but about connection. In a world that rushes to distract us from ourselves, choosing to sit with your loneliness might just be the bravest thing you ever do.